Tim Kanak with Perkins Roofing, and today we are taking a plant tour at Metal Alliance. So check out some video of this plant, and you can see all the metal coils behind me. Beautiful. See all the coils here, and all the different colors on the plant tour here for Metal Alliance, steel and aluminum. You can see in the plant tour here for Metal Alliance all the different colors of coil. Check that out. You can see everything that is in stock. And they've got this in aluminum and in steel, 24 gauge, 26 gauge steel, or 032 aluminum. Look at all the pretty colors of metal coil here in stock. Metal Alliance. American metal. This is the mill finish. So you might say, okay, we have coil and then we have flat sheets. The flat sheets are for the detail pieces. So this is to cut all your trim metal with the flat sheets here. The coil is what you use for your panels. So this is what you're gonna have in the machine that's gonna crank out the panels when it runs through the machine. And then the panels are gonna be used, the flat panels here are gonna be used to make all your trim pieces. Trim metals, this is going to be used for valley metals, for wall flashings, and even for crickets. You can order the flat sheets themselves. So that's what you're looking for, is the flat sheets. So that's why they have coil and flat sheets in both colors. You saw the mill finish there versus the colored panels that are already coated. They come in the roll, so you get the roll already pre-coated. You can see behind me, the roll is already pre-coated. See right here, here's medium bronze. This is actually the color that we're putting on River Place right now on the 3 building commercial project. So behind me we have these giant coils that weigh like 22,000 pounds, up to 22,000 pounds. They process them down to manageable smaller coils that you saw at the other warehouse, which are 2,500 to 3,000 pounds. And all this metal is more or less US steel. 95% of the steel is US steel and 100% of the aluminum. Here's the quality assurance processing line. So they put the large coil in, check for paint issues or coil issues as it turns through. When they have an issue, they actually slowed it down just now. When they slow it down, take out the issue. So this is the processing area basically. It's back because it weighs too much to pick up onto the forklift. So on the quality assurance line, they actually reject 8% of the coil as they're feeding it through. Industry standard is 3%, so it shows that Metal Alliance is really on top of their game. And they only get one of that 8% that they reject, they only get 1% refunded from US Steel. So that means they're eating about 7% cost, and that's more than most people, but they want to make sure that they don't have recalls or any issues out in the field. Better to deal with it in the warehouse than these ones are steel. And the most popular colors are actually matte black, dark charcoal, and dark bronze. There's the charcoal gray. So there's charcoal gray, which is second most popular to matte black, and then dark bronze. Those ones are aluminum, and then these ones are steel. See, here it is running at full speed. After they just had to take out some of the metal from the paint. You can see how the paint runs down. And the full panel, that's your full coil. And you can see here it's coming out, cut down the middle to split everything off for processing. Pretty cool. Thanks for watching this video of our plant tour of Metal Alliance, one of our metal manufacturers. You can see they are almost completely US made, US fabricated, coated here in the US. They do the coatings in Alabama and North Carolina due to the humidity here in Florida, so they can't coat it here in Florida. But what they do is they bring the coil in from US Steel, U.S. steel. Then they coat it in Alabama, North Carolina, bring it here to Florida for quality control, quality check, and to break it down. They have plants here in Stuart, where I'm at, 3 plants. They also have one in Tampa and a brand new one that's coming in Miami this last week. And we have options for steel, for aluminum, and also a new product that they have called Coast-Alume, which is kind of an in-between steel and aluminum. The Coast-Alume is for houses that are 300 feet away from breaking surf, so not right on the ocean, but within 1.5 miles of the ocean. So between 300 feet to 1.5 miles, those are for those middle houses where you don't necessarily want to pay the upgrade to aluminum, and it's like a middle price too between the aluminum and the steel. So that is called Coast-Alume, and they're the only ones that I know of that make this. But the Coast-Alume basically is steel, 24 gauge steel that has a coating on it. The coating is made out of aluminum, magnesium, and zinc, and they put that coating on it to protect the metal from saltwater corrosion. So that's called Coast-Alume. Pretty cool from Metal Alliance. If you enjoyed this video, give us a call for Perkins Roofing for Palm Beach, Martin, and St. Lucie counties. That's right, I'm doing my North Branch first this time. 561-559 roof for Miami-Dade, Broward, the Keys, 305 MIA roof. Reach out to us for impact windows, concrete restoration, painting, all that good stuff. Bathrooms, kitchens at Perkins Construction as well. That's Perkins Construction, same numbers. And then lastly, but not leastly, I made up that word. I don't think leastly is a word. And I have a journalism degree. I don't know. I can't remember. AP exam is leastly a word? Find out for me. Anyway, franchise at perkinsroofing.net. If you want to franchise with me, learn all this cool stuff, make some money with me, come under my wing. I got this. We got this. We'll go make some money together. Franchise at perkinsroofing.net. I hope you enjoyed this video. Metal Alliance factory tour. Cool stuff. Thanks. See you next time. As promised, I have 5 myths with metal roofs to bust for you. Number 1 is lightning. Is lightning going to hit my roof more often if it's a metal roof? Answer is no, or at least it's so fractional that the chances of that happening doesn't really matter and should not be in consideration if it's you're deciding between a metal roof and another type of roof. So the odds are that it's very, very, very unlikely that your roof will get hit with lightning more because it's a metal roof. How is your roof going to get hit by lightning? Usually it's height of the building and just chances of getting hit by lightning. Like if you're walking on the ground and you're outside in a thunderstorm, what are your chances of getting hit by lightning? Your building is a wider square footage, so it's only extrapolated by those same chances. And obviously the higher that the building is above tree lines, above whatever the highest thing in the area is, it's going to increase the chances. So unless you're at a high rise, it's very, very unlikely that the fact that you're putting a metal roof on versus any other type of roofing system is going to increase the chances of your roof getting hit by lightning. Myth number 2 is sound. Is your metal roof going to be loud? Are you not going to be able to sleep at night? It's going to be so loud that you can't hear yourself think when it rains. This depends on the substrate. You can see above me, I have a metal roof carport at my place, at my roofing shop. This big metal roof carport here, when it rains, you better darn well believe that I hear it. That's because there's nothing under it. So if you're at a park and you're hearing, and that's what you're thinking of, oh, I don't want my house to sound like, being stuck at a park pavilion during a rainstorm. That's what you're going to hear outside, out here, when it's raining. It's going to be loud. It doesn't really bother me too much, honestly, but you don't want that inside of your house. So the big consideration with sound with your metal roof is, how are your ceilings? Are they vaulted ceilings? And how much attic space do you have? If you have attic space with insulation within your attic, odds are you will not hear the rain any louder than you would with a shingle or a tile roof, depending on your insulation levels. That is going to decrease the decibels of volume that you hear from the rain. I'm sure there's a very scientific way you could calculate this if you really want to get granular and really get into the nitty-gritty, but the sound that you're going to hear from rain hitting a metal roof is all dependent upon the substrate, the distance between your rooms, and where the rain is hitting. So if you have vaulted ceilings, you're going to hear it a lot more, and then how much insulation you have in that attic space. So in most houses, no, you will not have much of a difference, if any, on rain and sound impacting your roof and hearing it. Unless you're like this and you're outside and you have an outside metal roof, or unless you have vaulted ceilings with no attic space and no insulation in between. Big myth number three, Wi-Fi and phone signal. Is installing a metal roof going to hurt your Wi-Fi and your phone signal? Guess what? I'm under a giant metal roof right now. Has no effect on my phone service or my Wi-Fi. I have a metal roof. You've probably seen the video. Hopefully, if you haven't, go watch it on YouTube, where I did my metal roof in Fort Lauderdale. Did not affect the Wi-Fi or the phone signal. What does affect Wi-Fi and phone signal is actually the walls. My place here in Jupiter, the concrete block is core filled, which means that there are no hollow spaces in the concrete blocks. It's all filled with more concrete, Portland cement. So since it's core filled, the concrete block, I actually do have pretty crappy service at this place and Wi-Fi. So I have to have Wi-Fi boosters and extenders. Putting the metal roof on doesn't affect it. This metal roof not affecting my service or Wi-Fi. Also, what will affect it, as someone that installs impact windows, Perkins Construction, yes, installing impact windows, especially if you have a concrete block home like this, these impact windows can affect your Wi-Fi service. If you have really light glass and you're putting impact glass in and you have concrete block, especially core-filled concrete block like this place, that's going to affect your Wi-Fi signal. That is going to affect your phone service. So I do recommend, if you have a concrete block home and you're going to do impact windows and doors with me, you may need a cell phone booster. You may need a Wi-Fi extender. Really cheap stuff. It's really not that expensive to do that. It shouldn't determine whether or not you're going to do a metal roof or not, because the metal roof is not really going to affect it. It should not determine whether or not you're going to do impact windows, because your impact windows are going to increase your safety of your home. And it's way easier to buy a Wi-Fi booster or an extender than it is to have to put up the hurricane shutters every time a storm is coming by, multiple times a season. It's not fun. It sucks. That's why I put impact windows in all my places, because it's expensive, but it's such a pain that it makes so much sense to just put them on. But in regards to a metal roof, Wi-Fi service and phone service should have no bearing whatsoever on whether or not you decide to put a metal roof on your home. Myth number 4, ventilation, attic ventilation. I would not put a ridge vent on a metal roof. So if you have ventilation issues within the attic already, or you have shingle ridge vents on your house, like I don't have here, but if you have shingle ridge vents on the ridge of your house, you probably want to put some sort of additional ventilation on. Like I'll show you over my face here. On my Fort Lauderdale house, I put a solar roof vent on. I use a 35-watt attic breeze. It is an active vent. It's going to increase the airflow through the vent, and warm air rises through that vent and out of the house. I put attic breezes on most roofs nowadays, tile roofs also, shingle roofs also. They're great vents. If you want to increase ventilation, they're so much better than ridge vents. Animals get into ridge vents. Ridge vents are raising the profile of the roof and they blow off. Metal Alliance does not recommend ridge vents on your metal roof. They recommend that if you have to increase the ventilation, first, soffit vents are better. Next, gable vents are better because you're not penetrating the roof. But if you're going to have to penetrate the roof, then you want to install a curb-mounted vent. You don't want penetrations in a metal roof, but if you have to put a curb-mounted penetration. Same thing with skylights. You want curb-mounted penetrations. You don't want self-flashing penetrations on a metal roof. See, self-flashing penetration, which is flat against the metal roof, is only caulk sealed. A curb-mounted penetration is going to create a curb that's going to prevent water, as long as it is properly sealed and boxed in with a collar, with a custom collar that you build around the curb mounted penetration. It's going to prevent water intrusion through that penetration. Myth number 5 is thermal expansion. Do you have to worry about movement in your roof with a metal roof? The answer is this. This myth is actually true. You do have to worry about that. Now, is that going to affect whether you need certain clips and screws? If you use the correct clips and screws that the metal installers provide to you, they are meant for thermal expansion, especially here in Florida, where we have a lot of heat coming and going. On an aluminum roof, you should expect about a 3/4 inch to a 1 inch thermal expansion. That usually happens within the first year of install of the metal roof. You can sometimes hear creaking in the roof because of this, but it'll only last for about a year. You won't hear it after a year. On a steel roof, it's very rare to have that kind of thermal expansion. You will get some, but it's going to be very, very slight. How to negate thermal expansion? There are 2 things that the roofer can do to negate this. Number 1 is to use sealants on all of your panel seams. If you notice in my videos, in my metal roof videos, you'll notice my guys are sealing every single panel seam. Every time that you have your connect between the female and the male of your seam on your panels, we are sealing all of those seams with sealant. AP 1500 is usually what we use. So we're sealing all those seams. As long as you seal the seams, that is the first thing you can do. Number 2 is you can give a little room on your bull nose. You don't want your bull nose super, super tight against all your panels. You want to have a little bit of a void so that there's room for movement within the panels. If you leave that little bit of spacing, then you're not going to get as much thermal expansion, and you'll probably avoid the creaking. So myth number 1, lightning, busted. Myth number 2, sound, busted. Myth number 3, Wi-Fi and phone service, busted. Myth number 4, ventilation, busted. You know what to do is solar attic vent. That's the curb mounted. That's the win. And myth number 5 is thermal expansion. This one is not busted because it's true, but there are things that the roofer, the contractor, can do to avoid issues with thermal expansion, which we do at Perkins Roofing. Thanks for watching this video. We will see you next time. Peace out. Tune out to some videos of some beautiful metal roofs that we have done here at Perkins Roofing with some good sounds. Later.